You are listening to the Postcast, presented by the Locked On Senators podcast and, of course, the Glebe Central Pub. Make sure to check out the Glebe Central Pub at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you on game days and get 10% off your bill. You can also get your tickets to the Sens Shuttle, $17 round trip to and from the CTC for every home game. The full list of tickets are available at GlebeCentralPub.com. I'm Ross Levitan, and it is my pleasure to introduce my co-hosts for tonight, Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson, after a 3-2 Senators win in overtime, where outside of 15 seconds in the second period, where Boston had all their offense, this was about as great of a road performance as you can get. Pilsy, how did you see this one develop?
Whew, it's nice to win this one. What a sigh of relief, guys. The Ottawa Senators play an absolutely shut down game up against the Boston Bruins. 24 minutes without a shot for the Bruins. No shots in the third period. And sure, you might say Linus Ullmark revenge game. You'd hope that he shut the door a little bit more. Well, other than those 15 seconds like you talked about, he was pretty good. And there was one save he had to make in overtime, and it was a 10-bell save. And the Ottawa Senators turn it around, and Brady Tkachuk, the captain, finishes things off, a 3-2 overtime win. This was a great one to win. I'm so glad we're talking about a dub, Jack, and we're not sitting here being thankful for a loser point.
Yeah, I wasn't ready to come on here and be happy. They got it to overtime, and then, 3-on-3, it started crazy as well. Like that play that Norris made off the face-off, and then it goes right back the other way. And like you mentioned, Linus Ullmark with a great save, his first save. And you said 24 plus minutes in game time. According to Andrew Raycroft, former goalie analyst with the Bruins, says that was an hour and 7 minutes without a shot on goal for Linus Ullmark. And he comes up with that save in his former home against his good buddy, Jeremy Swayman. Gets the last laugh, at least in this game. And then Brady Tkachuk just finishes it off. What a night for the Sens. What a game they played tonight.
No time to complain, but if I was going to, I'd say, how does Linus Ullmark not get an assist on the game winner? It's unassisted right now. I mean, that was a perfectly placed save right the other way. The Senators go, and Brady Tkachuk, who else, wins it in overtime. It is the 8th overtime goal of Brady Tkachuk's career, tying his old man on the Tkachuk leaderboard. This was an important 2 points for Ottawa, and of course, you'd like it to be in regulation, but on the road where they have not won in an Eastern Conference barn yet this season, a huge victory for the Ottawa Senators. We'll get more into Brady Tkachuk in particular. Tons of SensCentral standouts to choose from in this game. But Jack, were you as nervous as I'm sure many of the 400 people in the chat were when that 20-minute mark came without a shot for the Bruins? Because it just felt like, and there was one play where the Bruins just sent it in front of the net, and it went off of Hamannik's skate and towards the slot. It just feels like it would have been the Sens' luck for that to go off his skate and in.
That's kind of the only reason I was nervous. But when we were sitting back now and looking at the whole game, like they were so locked in that third period, and it was a little bit boring. But is that not a perfect road period where you've got a tie score after what happened to? I think there's so many places to start with this game. The 2 goals against in 15 seconds. I think their response after that was it's more than the third period for me. It's 24 plus minutes. It was a long time. The Bruins pushed a little bit after their second goal, but since then it was all Ottawa. And I think that's what's impressive about it. But yeah, you're right. During the timer, when they kept flashing it up on the scoreboard, the Jacques Martin special, no shots allowed in an extended period of time. Pilsy, I really did get nervous, but I think actually the deeper they got into it, the more confident I felt. It was just when it flipped to overtime where it's anyone's game there. But great that they were able to get the 2 points after that effort.
Yeah, I was a little nervous with that graphic continuing to come up because I was like, okay, Ullmark's been pretty cold here. He hasn't had to face any shots. It could be a weird one where it's a deflection he doesn't see or something, a garbage goal, and that would just put all the air out of the Ottawa Senators balloon. But he stays sharp when he has to. That one save he made in overtime was absolutely incredible, and that's what you need him to do. And I'm with everyone. It's wild that Ullmark doesn't get an assist on that because that's a huge pad save that pops out to Brady and he finishes it off. But it's funny too, because what did we hear all offseason? Anyone that wasn't a Sens fan was saying, well, yeah, you guys got Ullmark, but you don't have the defensive structure that the Boston Bruins have. So he's not going to be the same goalie. You might as well have kept Korpisalo. The Bruins are going to make Korpisalo look like a Vezina winner because their defense is so good. Well, you can't play much better defense than not allowing a shot in 24 straight minutes. So the Ottawa Senators do a great job. And like you said, Jack, it was a little bit boring, but when you come out with the W, a snooze fest isn't too bad.
Especially on the road, right? You don't have to have the GCP bus talking about each and every chance. You can just grind it out and get a win. But this one was dominant in terms of the slant towards the Boston Bruins zone. The Ottawa Senators not only getting great contributions in clutch moments, but they got their first offensive contribution from Michael Amadio tonight. Scores his first goal as a member of the Ottawa Senators, and that goes back to 1.0 when he was a first-time Senator, had 1 assist in 5 games. Now he's got his first tuck of the season right after Dean Brown said he thought that there was more to give. So we nailed that one, and we also nailed Josh Norris, one-timer. The guy was put on earth to score goals. Just give him the puck. And with 8 seconds left in the first period, they found him. And just a moment later, the puck's in the back of the net. Pillsy, how nice was it to be on the proper side of a goal in the final minute of a period?
Felt a little weird, Ross, not going to lie. But I'm going to give props to Brady Tkachuk on that goal because he does a great job with the puck in the corner, heads up play. They talked about it on the broadcast. It seemed a little bit like the Bruins weren't sure how much time was left on the clock because, I don't know, check the game notes, bud. You don't leave Josh Norris all alone out front. And Brady puts it right on his tape. And it's not a patented Josh Norris absolute laser one-timer. I think it becomes a bit of a knuckle puck, but he gets it off quick. And it beats Swayman over the blocker. And that was a big momentum goal for the Ottawa Senators that don't often get to indulge in momentum goals for. So great to see, Ross.
The Ottawa Senators tonight win 3-2 in overtime. They outshoot the Bruins 34-16. They get 1 goal in the power play, the Josh Norris special there at the end of the first period. They're 1 for 3. The Boston Bruins go 0 for 2 with their man advantage. The Senators clean up 52.9% of the faceoffs. They get outblocked 16-13, and they get out hit 42-35. And I flipped the numbers here at the bottom. I'll fix that in a minute. The Senators with 63% of the expected goals. I'm just used to Sens wins being at home, so I put it in the right column there. But can we talk about how nails this picture of Tim Stützle is? If you're listening to this the next day, you can head at SensCentral on Twitter. It'll be our pinned tweet. But I'm not sure this guy's got 100% vision in his right eye, the way that that's all black and blue, Jack. What'd you see from Tim Stützle tonight?
I just saw a guy battling. I think against teams like this with a heavy back end, Tim's going to get a lot of attention going forward. And I think the start to the season he's having is going to emphasize that. But you're right, man. Like this tinted visor look for Stützle fits him so well. It's just like this European, like slick look. And I think the way he plays though is underrated in the fact that he's a physical player. Like he's not afraid of getting involved physically, even though tonight it might have looked a little bit more like he was getting pushed around. I think not having Tkachuk on his line is an impact on that. So he's a bit quieter, maybe 5-on-5, some stuff to figure out there for him. But overall, I think just the fact that he was okay to have a quiet game and then the rest of the team stepped up is a really good sign to me. But this Ross, this look it's great. I don't know how the fact that he was battling through that injury too. It's not nothing.
He's playing hard tonight too. He was finishing his checks. He took one right by the bench in the first period, popped right back up at the end of a shift. And I mean, anyone who calls Tim Stützle soft does not watch the Ottawa Senators play. This guy plays hard. He plays in your face. He was hounding pucks on the back check tonight. I loved what I saw from a lot of players on this team. And we can quickly mention the Senators changed up the lines going into tonight's game, moving Josh Norris up onto the Brady Tkachuk line for the first time, it feels like this year, splitting up Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk. And, well, it worked tonight where the Ottawa Senators get all sorts of opportunity. They deserve to win a meter, heavily slanted in the Senators' favor. And I think most kind of refreshing is seeing Josh Norris not only get on the board with a one-timer, it's his first goal on the road this season, but I thought he was physical tonight. This whole team, that's what you got to do, especially going into a barn against a team like the Bruins that are big, mean, physical. You got to punch them back in the face. And it started early where Brady was just going to the net, and then Zadorov said, well, we don't want you there. And from then on, and it wasn't a chippy game. I think the only questionable moment, I think the refs got it right, where It's a tough play by Cole Koepke in the offensive zone to turn like that last second. Nick Jensen had already committed to making the hit, and I thought they got the right call, and I think it was no worse for wear. I'm glad, I understand, I should say, that the Bruins are going to stand up for their guy. They didn't drop the gloves. They just said, hey, we're going to address this, a little shoving match. So, hey, that's hockey, baby, and the Senators are able to come out on top tonight, 3-2. The final score. I want to leave us plenty of time for SensCentral standouts in this game. We'll break down the game a little bit further. We'll get to the chat. We appreciate the heck out of everyone in the chat. Vern, yes, we would have loved to have seen Brady beat on Zadorov, but in a 2-2 game, when you have all the momentum, don't ruin it. I'm almost happy that Charlie Coyle was able to get a little tug on the jersey. Otherwise, Brady would have been right in the mix. I'm not confident it would have been a full-on fight. The refs already seemed like they were in the middle of it, but that was perfectly handled by both sides, I think, and the Senators come out on the right side of this game. We have plenty more to get to, but first, can I please tell you about our friends at the Glebe Central Pub? Because the Postcast wouldn't exist without them. At 779 Bank Street, you can go to where the vibes are free at the GCP. They've got live music every Saturday night. I'm sure the place is just pumping tonight at the GCP. They've also got the Send Shuttle to and from the CTC. You know what, boys? They actually had a bus going to Bruce Springsteen tonight at the CTC.
Nice.
So you know that's going to be an electric atmosphere when they get back from seeing the boss at the rink. But tonight, it's all about the vibes and it's all about the GCP. So head there on a Senators game day and you will get 10% off your order, no matter what. And if you take a picture at the SensCentral Locked On Sens jersey, Locked On GCP, and you post that on social media, tag Glebe Central Pub, tag us, show it to your server, 2 pints of GCP lager for just $7.79. What a deal, what a vibe, what a place. It's our pub. It's the Glebe Central Pub.
This episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You guys heard me right. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks is the best way to win real money this football season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Welcome back to the Postcast. I'm Ross Levitan alongside my good friends Brandon Piller and Jack Richardson here on a Vibecast after a 3-2 Senators win against the Boston Bruins. Quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard tonight. The finals, the Montreal Canadiens fall 4-1 to the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Detroit Red Wings fall 4-0 to the New York Rangers. You got the Panthers beating the Flyers 4-3 in a shootout. The Islanders fall in overtime, a classic Isles loser point, and they get one in a 4-3 loss. That one goes to overtime. And boys, the St. Louis Blues have now lost 2 games this year by a score of 8-1. The Capitals beat them 8-1. Ovechkin with 2 goals. He's only 32 away from tying Wayne Gretzky for the all-time record. Don't make me look up how many goals Brady Tkachuk is away from tying Wayne Gretzky's goal totals. He's got his 8th career overtime goal and also his 8th goal of the season in game number 14. The captain has at least a point in 12 out of 14 games this season. And before we even get to our SensCentral standouts, I think we just need to appreciate this stat line. 12 shots on goal for Brady Tkachuk, 8 hits in this game, an assist on the Norris goal, primary at that, and then the overtime winner. Pilsy, what did you see from the captain in tonight's game?
An absolute gamer, Ross. I mean, 12 shots on goal. I already mentioned how much I love that assist that he had, real heads-up play. 8 hits to go along with it. We talked about the Boston Bruins playing a physical game. Well, leader of this team, he says, I'll play physical right back with 8 hits. And then Brady Tkachuk in overtime, a beautiful goal. I love that he decided, you know what, I'm going to shoot this. I'm going to end this one, and rips it past Swayman. So this is a classic Brady Tkachuk game, and you mentioned it too. Good job on the discipline, whether it was Charlie Coyle holding him back or not. Yeah, there, Brady loves being in Boston. It's incredible that he was able to have the night he had tonight. So that's the kind of leadership you want.
I think about this photo whenever I think of Brady Tkachuk in Boston. Obviously, his dad's side of the family's from there. I'm sure he had friends and family in attendance. He's his alma mater, Boston University. So awesome to see Brady Tkachuk do his thing. I know you love seeing that too, eh, Jack?
So that's the 2013 finals, I think. So he's
2011.
2011, probably.
2013. No, the dates are at the bottom there.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So
another L for Boston in that one.
That's a great look. I can't believe that's still up. It's kind of crazy that Instagram, like,
it's his first ever post on Instagram, Brady Tkachuk. That's his own personal account.
That's just awesome. Just a legend. But yeah, I mean, he I think he's had some good games in Boston before, but where he went to university too, just the Tkachuk family in Boston, that had to be one of the best nights for him personally. On a personal note, I think he had a couple down games coming into tonight, so this was more than making up for that because he just took over the game. 12 shots is insane for one player to have. He was ripping everything though. Like if it was on his stick, it was going towards the net. And maybe that's part of playing with Josh Norris. Their shoot first mentality now on that line. I don't know. I'm not suggesting that him and Stützle lost any chemistry or anything like that, but that's a great quote. We don't want to do what we've done this last week, which is taking a couple steps forward and a couple steps back. We just want to keep the momentum going. Look, like he's starting to lead by example, I think, too, off the ice, which and it's funny that you throw up that picture because that's just himself. He's funny. He's got the Halloween costumes and everything, but stuff like this is the next step for him as a captain. We'll get deeper into this, maybe the Bruins specifically later in the postcast. But I've got they did a lot of highlighting about Brad Marchand as a captain tonight and all that. And we don't have to sit here and nitpick, broadcasts and stuff like that, but it didn't feel like Brady Tkachuk got the same kind of
That
love.
was in between them mentioning that Ullmark and Swayman used to play together.
I wasn't aware that they played together. No, I didn't.
Did they?
Oh my God. Dude, it was more aggravating than, hey, did you know Matthew and Brady are brothers? Whenever they played Florida and Calgary for the first 7 years.
I do get that. This is the first game with Ullmark and Swayman, and we'll get into that too with Ullmark. But
thank you, Boston, per the thumbnail.
Exactly. Thank you, Boston. It's a great move for. It's just a great game for Ullmark. But all around for Brady Tkachuk, I'm just really impressed. I think with what we saw tonight. Just a great bounce back in his quote there from tonight.
Quick verbal meme. The SpongeBob meme where Squidward is watching them outside. SpongeBob and Patrick are Ullmark and Swayman, and Corpusal is like, hey, I'm here too. This is a revenge game for me, guys.
Yeah. Amazing. Let's get some SensCentral standouts, and then we'll talk about the Bruins and more about the game in particular on the other side. Jack, I love when you get to get on here with wins for us. So lead us off here.
Too many choices for me. Just because we did just talk about Tkachuk, he's obviously one. I'm going to go with Linus Ullmark. I think just, didn't need to be the best player on the ice for them. He really didn't need to be. But that save in overtime, just an hour and 7 minutes without any real threatening shots is really, for a goalie, they talk about wanting to feel it. I mean, it's a goalie friendly show. You guys would know you want to feel the puck a lot, right? You could see Swayman getting into the groove of things, feeling the puck a bit more. So that save in general was nice, but just getting this win, I think for him, I mentioned right before the game, I tweeted that it's a massive night for him, not just returning to Ottawa, but in the media in the days leading up, just, saying he's not sure where his game is at. And that quote might have gotten run with a little bit, but I think just this is a good one he can build confidence on. We'll see. This isn't something to discuss tonight, but who's starting in Toronto on Tuesday. But I just like to see that for Linus Ullmark, because even if he doesn't play the next game and they are going with a tandem, he just has this game to build off of going into his next one. So he's my SensCentral standout. Made some great saves when he needed to, especially in the first. And yeah, I'm really happy that he got that win under his belt.
And support for Linus Ullmark is going to go a long way for the next 4+ years right now. And you need more performances like that. I'm actually so glad that Ottawa, well, now I know the Sens won, but I'm so glad that they were able to get that big save from him, right? Because he wasn't tested for 25 minutes. So for him to feel as a part of this win, making that game-saving lateral left to right move, and then going the other way and scoring, I just think that's huge for the confidence of Linus Ullmark. Not like, hey, I'm under 900 save percentage again. Was I really a part of it? You don't want to go down that bad thought process. So for him to just be able to focus on his last save being the best one of the night, that's got to be huge. Pilsy, the second SensCentral standout.
I'm going to go with Josh Norris here. He opens the scoring and gets a power play goal. We talked about it, Ross. You went into detail finding Josh Norris goals. Well, add that one to your video edit, Ross, because that was a nice one, assisted by Brady Tkachuk. We needed to see Josh Norris get it going on the road. All of his goals were at home. We needed the power play to continue clicking. So I like Josh Norris's game in this one, and I think it was a good idea to try to switch things up a little. I'm kind of the mind that maybe they switched Timmy and Norris just to bump Timmy down the lineup a little now that he's got the cyborg eye and that he's dealing with. Maybe just give him a little less ice time to worry about. But nothing wrong with trying to catch some chemistry between Norris and Brady as well. And I thought Norris had a good game. Like he kickstarted that overtime with a great chance. Right off the draw, goes hard to the net, throws it at the net. I believe Brady had the opportunity there. Doesn't work, goes the other way, back and forth. He made himself open. I really liked Josh Norris's game. So for me, SensCentral standout. I'm assuming none of us need to take Brady. We already did kind of a full thing on him. So let's not pretend we're omitting Brady from SensCentral standouts on this one, guys.
No, I'm glad you said that. And I'm glad you brought up the cyborg look. I want to give a shout out to Senator. It's almost very appropriate that he's the one who tweeted this one out. Brady Tkachuk side by side with Drago from the old Sylvester Stallone Rocky movie. So that is just all-time comparison right there, and it fits so well. Hey, there's a Halloween costume for you next year. Too bad it's not November 10th Halloween party, because he would have been a perfect Drago there. My SensCentral standout tonight, and I think we could probably snap it around twice here, but it's got to be Nick Jensen.
Nice.
Physical in his own zone. Huge hits, stop and plays with his skating ability. And I know that Dino mentioned that Jacob Chychrun's always going to have the higher offensive ceiling, and I get that. He's a goal scorer, double-digit goals almost every year for Jacob Chychrun, but the way that Nick Jensen keeps the cycle rolling in the offensive zone, getting pucks in deep, finding open guys, open space, like his hockey IQ is as good as any defenseman on the team. Like, he is so talented at getting the little plays right over and over again. I was super impressed with what we saw in Nick Jensen's game, and I think Thomas Chabot has benefited so much from that as well. And you could say it's a symbiotic relationship too. I think Jensen would tell you that playing with Chabot has helped him out, but I thought they were both excellent in tonight's game, and I just feel like the physicality of Nick Jensen is why I'm leaning towards him for a SensCentral standout. When he was on the ice tonight with Thomas Chabot, the shot attempts were 22 for and 12 against. So that was by far 7 attempts for more than any other D pair on the ice tonight. You look at the expected goals when he's on the ice, high. Everything was pointing in the direction that this team was money with Nick Jensen on the ice. So I'm just happy that the Sens have found a pair. I know we've talked about how Sanderson and Zub, they're still trying to refine their rhythm, but this Thomas Chabot, Nick Jensen pair is really starting to establish themselves as a dominant force night in, night out.
Absolutely. Ross, you want to go for 2 here, snake draft, or how do you want to do this?
Snapping it right back to me.
Oh, and Jensen was, he would have been my next pick. Great game from him. I'm really coming around to Nick Jensen. I was down on Jensen in the preseason, I'll admit it, but I'm fully on board the Nick Jensen trade now. He's looking great out there.
Yeah, he looks awesome. You know what? Let's ring around the rosy. Let's go carousel style tonight. I want Jack to hit us with number 4.
All right.
So, I mean, you kind of hit on him, but I want to give Thomas Chabot a bit more love. Did you take him as one of yours, but you're going Nick Jensen, right?
No, Nick Jensen. I just think that they're playing off each other so well, but Jensen's my guy tonight.
We're treating this like a Ring of Honor draft, but this is so I think Chabot, like you mentioned Sanderson, Zub struggling, but Chabot, like his steady play is kind of gone under the radar with Sanderson struggling a bit. He's really settling in. That feels like a game that he would ordinarily kind of get, pushed around a little bit, right? Like he's not a physical defenseman. Nick Jensen is really helping his game. And I think that the fact that Nick Jensen can move out there so well really helps Chabot. And like you guys are mentioning, Chabot's probably helping Jensen too. But like I think that Chabot became a bit of a whipping boy for the Sens. He might still be. I don't know. Like, he's not really producing a ton offensively without the top power play unit. But Ross, you're right. The defensive responsibilities that line or that D pair is taken care of now is so good. And the fact that you're confident now when 2 pairings, not just 3 defensemen in general, come over the boards is huge. So I think Chabot finding his game as he kind of settles into the season is a big storyline that's kind of starting to cook for the Sens. Like, ordinarily, if you looked at his stat line for the season, you'd be really, worried, I think, right? Making that kind of money. And I don't know how many points he has, maybe 5 or 6, like 5 or 6 assists and a goal.
Just not 6 assists.
Okay. Yeah. So just not like top pairing offensive numbers for an offensive defenseman, but I don't think any Senators fan can sit there and say that he hasn't been good the last 2 weeks at least.
Yeah. He added one more tonight, Pillsy. So he's up to 7 assists now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Had I believe it was an assist on the second goal, if I'm not mistaken, the Amadio goal. I am correct. Yep. Yeah. Secondary assist there. Hey, Noah Gregor gets his first assist as a Senator. I know he's got a couple of goals in there, but that's nice to see as well. Pillsy?
Hey, speaking of firsts as Ottawa Senators, Michael Amadio gets the monkey off his back. Dean Brown said it. I thought it was a great answer. If you guys haven't listened to our Dean Brown interview, I said right after to Ross, every single answer Dean gave was incredible. So definitely go back and listen to that. Probably or at least my favorite interview we've done with Dean. And I asked him, who's one player you think can step up and elevate their game? Michael Amadio was his guy. He mentioned he does all the little things right that maybe fans aren't wowed by, doesn't show up on the stat sheet. Eventually, he's going to get some offense just because he's playing the right game. And he gets one tonight. And I think on the broadcast, they kind of said, that's one Swayman's got to have. But as a goalie, you look at this, and this was a beautiful timing job by Michael Amadio. Gregor speeds into the zone, just slides it back for Amadio, and Amadio loads up the wrist shot, and there's 2 Bruins defensemen in front, and they crisscross. Right when they crisscross, and there's that opening through the middle, that's when he gets it through. And Swayman has no clue that he's even loading up a shot because he's got 2 players going opposite directions, completely screening him, and Amadio sneaks it through. So that's a smart play, and I'm really happy that Michael Amadio got things going because I think he's one of those guys everybody's looking at being like, all right, new addition, 3-year deal as a free agent. He's got to get going here. Love that for Michael Amadio.
You know what, Pillsy, you've inspired me. I'm going to stick with the third line, and I'll go with Noah Gregor, who I also thought was using his speed, especially on the PK tonight. He had that one rush where Hampus Lindholm caught him, but he still had his shot go on the outside of the net. I just think when he's using his speed and being effective in that way, he adds an element the Sens just didn't have before. You could argue with Matthew Joseph, but the role and the situations that Noah Gregor is finding himself in, I just think that he's been a positive influence on this team. And we've been hard on that third line so much as even calling them the de facto fourth line in terms of production. But I just think that his speed is just such an important element for this team's success. And hopefully that third line can get rolling as we continue on in games like tonight. One more note as well. We talked about how Brady Tkachuk tied his old man with 8 overtime goals. Well, guess what? He also passed Mike Fisher for the most overtime goals in Senators history with his 8th. Mike Fisher had 7. Now, of course, since 2006, and then more so when they made it 3-on-3 for overtime, you're going to get even more overtime goals. But we will not apologize for Brady Tkachuk setting a franchise record in tonight's game. As we always like to do, take a look at the stat card, and they had to move the median to the left in this game, and I know what you're looking for, Pillsy.
Yep.
Travis Hamonic is right in the middle of it tonight.
And Jake Sanderson not at the bottom. That's nice to see. Still not the Jake Sanderson we're accustomed to seeing. He hasn't found his game yet again, but we talked about it. Chabot and Jensen playing much better has really helped that out. Brady Tkachuk, I mean, that's a great game for him. And look at Noah Gregor as well. So I
no
like
negative on Noah Gregor's card.
Yeah. So this is a good night all around.
Same with Ostapchuk and same with what you're getting on Michael Amadio's card. Like just a solid win your 50-50 shifts and go from there. Love to see it. Just an overall great performance. Like clearly you could even argue they could have won this one in regulation. But we're not going to be greedy, right, boys? Like, let's
get greedy.
A win here, a win there. You want to get greedy?
We'll get greedy in
Pillsy.
April.
Well, you know what? You can get
I like
greedy when you go to games and you haven't spent much on tickets. Let me tell you about Game Time, because today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. It is the place to go for last-minute tickets at the lowest prices. They've got them for sports, comedy, theater. You can get your tickets at Game Time. Game Time also has Game Time Picks, which is such a great way to filter out the fluff. If somebody's putting their ticket out there for $1 million just because they want to make a quick profit, if someone's dumb enough to buy it, you don't want to see that. You only want the best deals on the best tickets, and Game Time Picks will filter out the fluff and get that to you. I always toggle on the all-in pricing. That way, I'm not worried about surprise fees at checkout. I know that what I say I'm going to pay is what the bottom line will be. And you can actually chop off $20 from that bottom line because you listen to Locked On Senators. Use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDONNHL by creating a new account on Game Time and then putting in the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Go to Game Time. Let's fill this. I was going to call it the ACC. Let's fill Scotiabank Arena in Toronto with Sens fans on Tuesday by using Game Time. So download the app, code LOCKEDONNHL, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That is at Game Time. Boom. Ottawa Senators win 3-2 in overtime. Brady Tkachuk gets the rip there. I'm with Jack Richardson and Brandon Piller. You can find our social media handles in the description below. Appreciate all 423 people rocking with us in a Vibecast after a big win. Pillsy, what's going to be your overall impression? Like, how do you move forward after this win?
I think this builds a lot of confidence because we've talked about games where the Ottawa Senators have those momentum goals against. We talked about the one momentum goal they got at the end of the first, but we haven't even mentioned it. Well, I think we did, but quickly. The Bruins scored 2 goals in 15 seconds here. Like, that's bang, bang. And I don't know about you guys. Did you think Travis Green might call a timeout there? I thought that might have been a good time to call a timeout. Just be like, all right, guys, we let him get back in this for a second. Don't let the TD Garden go offhand. Jack, were you thinking that might have been a timeout play?
I was. And remember, we mentioned that about the Vegas game, how he didn't call one when things fell apart. And that was kind of a criticism for him. But I don't think he needed to, because I'm glad you brought that up. Claude Giroux got high sticked right off the faceoff.
Yeah.
And they didn't call it, but there was a bit of a commotion. The building kind of quieted down a little bit, and that helps, especially at TD Garden. So it was kind of a makeshift timeout, but I was looking on the bench when they showed Travis Green. He wasn't using it as one, but just a breather for the group is huge sometimes. You can get the bench kind of reinvigorated a little bit. Maybe that's what Giroux was doing, stalling a little bit. So it ended up being a free timeout, but yeah, I was looking for them to take one because they definitely needed one.
What the heck happened off the next face-off? How was that not a penalty on Claude Giroux?
I think what they were talking about is since Giroux was like, you know, at the faceoff, you get low to try to get position on guys. I think he was getting low, and they were arguing, well, it's not high sticking if his face is at the guy's hip. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know
if
how
that's the rule.
I don't know.
It doesn't make it hurt anymore when you get a stick in the face.
Yeah, Claude Giroux was probably telling him that.
He's
Don't kill
pissed.
the messenger, guys. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying they were talking about it on the broadcast, and I guess, but like a stick hits him in the face. Like I don't know. That's
he hasn't been getting any calls. There was the play in the last game against the Islanders where the guy literally wrapped his stick around his head.
But Giroux also needs to calm down with the refs sometimes. Like there's sometimes where the whole shift he's looking at refs and barking at them for getting kicked out of a draw or something. And look, he's a respected veteran. You would think he can get away with that, but sometimes he puts it on a little thick, and maybe that's why the refs don't always give him the benefit of the doubt sometimes. I don't know.
Hilarious. What else are we feeling about tonight's game? Jack, I know you wanted to get to the Bruins a little bit.
I was just going to mention, so this game builds confidence for them, right? It felt like Vegas. It felt like New York on the road. But they get the 2 points, which is big, and get a point in general. But are the Bruins, I know it's early.
What are you going to say here, Jack?
Buffalo felt like a tougher game for the Sens. It's different scenarios and stuff, but I'm just saying, that has to build confidence for the team going, just in the division, right? That's a team you're chasing. That's a big win for division reasons. I know it's early, but I don't know. That's kind of where I'm what I'm feeling after that game is like for the group, I feel like it's more than just 2 points, I should say, because just who you're playing and where you are, all the narratives, you didn't have a road win or you only had one road win, no points in the division on the road, like you mentioned, Ross. So I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm not suggesting Buffalo's a better team, but they're also in that clump of teams right now, kind of in the middle of the division. So I think that's just a big confidence win for the group.
Did you guys have any issues with Shabby just holding the puck behind the net for 10 seconds at the end of the game?
No. I've been hurt too many times.
Exactly. I think, and they talked about it on the broadcast being like maybe you want to push, like they had all the momentum. Like if ever there was going to be a time where like there's 10 seconds left, they hadn't allowed a shot in 24 minutes. Like they could have pressed it there. But these are the types of decisions you just got to take a deep breath and be like, nope, we're going to hold it here. We're going to bring it to overtime. We're going to guarantee the 1 point. And I think rightfully so, the Ottawa Senators should be one of the most confident teams in 3-on-3 overtime in the league. Like, look at the guys they can put out there for 3-on-3 overtime. I think what was it? Sandy, Brady, and Norris. Yeah, to start, like that's a pretty good trio. And then you're able to have that energy and that momentum right off the top. So I think that obviously was the right play. Bruins fans, after not getting a shot in 24 minutes and seeing Shabby just sit there, letting the clock die down, they were probably losing their minds. But right play and a responsible, mature play from Shabby, in my opinion. Because the old Shabby would have tried to wheel that and turned it over, and we would have been sitting here like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. So I liked it.
I loved it. And I like this play too. Owen points it out. Like Norris went forward off the faceoff. He's like, let's go. And they had a little opportunity there. Obviously, it doesn't go in, but I like the thought process there. And I'm about to eat my words because I've said in the past, I prefer Brady being the first guy off the bench in overtime in case you lose the draw. You don't really want him being the guy defending at the start. But my goodness, he made the boys look. He made Travis Green look very good for calling his number to start overtime. And now he's the franchise's all-time leader in overtime wins. Boys, USA Today, which is our official image supplier, they just dropped this beauty of the celebration. Look at the fist pump for Ullmark as he's coming out to meet the boys. How great is that?
Yep, that's
just a big win for a lot of reasons. Linus Ullmark being in Boston, that's a big storyline win. Hockey night in Canada, like there's a lot of reasons because and with Spit and Chicklets coming at them for not being better than the Bruins, just a dominant performance in Boston. A lot of narratives started and a lot of narratives kind of put to rest for at least tonight for the Sens.
Yeah, at least tonight. But I said on the last postcast while I was whimpering to myself that I wasn't going to chirp any other team until the Senators were above 500. So I'm not going to go at anybody about this.
I'm even kind of hesitant to chirp teams when the Sens are above 500, but I'm not about to rain on the Vibecast.
You know what I was thinking though the other day, like how there haven't been wins like this for the Sens, right? Where they're supposed to be competitive. I'm just kind of enjoying it. Like I'm enjoying not liking the Bruins and feeling like you're better than them for one night at least. Like I think that's a fun feeling that I think Sens fans haven't had for a long time in all the years of tanking and then just the season being over after November.
Jack, didn't you say this felt like the biggest win in years? You're stoked on this win
since 2017. Like I just think I don't know,
biggest win in Boston.
Sure.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Yeah,
honestly,
like add that
look,
on there. It's
early, but like does not feel like a game though that you could see being the turning point in the season a little bit, or like a season. Like if Ullmark figures it out after tonight, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. I'm obviously exaggerating a that kind of what I'm saying.
Nothing you say in the postcast can be held against you.
We're deep enough into it. Yeah. Twitter does live forever, but that's just kind of how I'm feeling is like, there hasn't been a ton to cheer for as a Sens fan, realistically, just in terms of standings points and like big wins like this early in the season. So it just feels big for that reason.
Love it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find Craig's tweet from 2017 after the first period in Game 1 when the Bruins had 0 shots in that game in that period as well. And they were the Corsi champions that year. I think I was going through my phone and I found somebody photoshopped a banner saying 2017 Corsi champions for the Bruins. I like that one. But yeah, hilarious that this time it was in the third period. I think it's a little safer because the Senators did lose that game 1 against Boston. But tonight it was all good. And I'm going to get outrageous if they can win on Tuesday in Toronto, because that's going to be a tough one. No doubt. The Leafs are starting to figure it out here. Austin Matthews is skating, but it seems like, I mean, the Leafs numbers are always better without Matthews than with them. So
they should trade him.
Yeah, that was hilarious when
I
Matt
agree.
said that in the pregame. But that's the kind of coverage we need in Ottawa, man. That's what's found our foothold here too, because we're not trying to be the national media types that are just looking for the clicks and the big market stories and all that. So
People's Pod.
The People's Pod. And our guy Feller Pine wants some irrational predictions for the Leafs game. Let's should we settle on those? I just want to see them continue to build off what they did in the third period and overtime in this game.
I got one.
Okay.
Ridley Gregg game winner.
Oh, buddy. On a slap shot into a net that's being guarded?
Doesn't he? Yeah, I mean, that would help. As long as he doesn't shoot it too hard, Ross. They get very upset if you shoot it too hard.
Imagine a fan shot goes in, like off his heel, like back door. He stands on it and it goes in.
I would actually prefer that. Like him just being a total disturber in front of the net. It hits off his shin pad and goes in and he gets credit with the goal. Like that, to me, would be chef's
And
kiss.
then for the celly, just hold up his stick like this with two hands on it. He'd be the guy to do it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So,
oh, man. Great vibes tonight. 3-2, the Senators win in overtime. You look at the scoring summary in tonight's game. Josh Norris opens it up with 7 seconds left in the first period. Make it 8, actually, but 7 had the primary assist. Brady Tkachuk's 10th assist on the season. Drake Batherson with a secondary helper. He did a lot of great grinding work down low to create that puck for Brady to give it out to a wide open Josh Norris, who made no mistake. Then the Bruins get 2 goals in a span of 15 seconds. Pavel Zakin, that's a tough one for Ullmark to read. Like backhand from the slot, spinning around. I don't blame him at all for that goal. Tough one. And then you got to know where Marchand is. I was reading the pregame, check the game notes, and they said in the NHL stats thing, they do 1 note from every team. And it was Brad Marchand's next goal will break the franchise record for most even strength goals. And I knew he was getting one tonight. So he gets one side door rebound. It goes in, but that's it for the Bruins. All their offense was in a span of 15 seconds in the second period. Then another late goal. This one with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left. Michael Amadio with a beauty and just a seeing eye shot, really. I shouldn't say a beauty, but the timing of it and the situation was beauty for the Senators. Noah Gregor, Thomas Chabot with the assist there. And then I'm refreshing the page. I'm just trying to will a Linus Ullmark assist out of this overtime goal, but it's going down as an unassisted goal for Brady Tkachuk. Pillsy, your final thoughts on tonight's game?
I've got a final thought, Ross. I'm prepared for once in our podcast history with the final thought. You know what's great about getting an Ottawa Senators win, but even better? How about a Belleville Senators win? Also, the Belleville Senators beat the Laval Rocket and Malcolm Subban, the first star with 27 saves. Belleville was down 2-0 in this game, and they scored 3 unanswered goals. Our guy, Ross, Oscar Pettersson, pew, pew, he gets it started for the Belleville Senators, and that's a nice game to win. So you'll love to see that. Even a couple scraps. I haven't seen a video for it, Ross, but Stephen Halliday getting in a fight with Logan Mailloux. So that's an interesting one. We'll see how that one turns out. But yeah, Belleville Senators win, Ottawa Senators win. It's a good day to be a Sens fan, boys.
Yeah, it is. It's great to see that one. And yeah, Halliday first fight. He had his first goal of the season in the last game. So just awesome to see here for the boys getting themselves ready for a bit of a stretch here, because they've obviously had an up and down start, lots of overtime and shootout losses in this game, and great to see them doing their thing, getting 2 points. Jack, how are you feeling after tonight's game?
Well, you guys know how I'm feeling. It's the best I've felt since 2017.
I just want to hear you say it again.
Awesome.
No, but yeah, that's a win they had to have, and they got it in very convincing fashion, even though they gave up a point. So it's good. It's good to feel good going into Toronto, because that's a big game regardless, whatever each team's record is. It's one that fans circle on the calendar. So hopefully the team is too. So that's a big one to look forward to. And it's good that the vibes are good going into Scotiabank Arena on Tuesday.
And what's your preview for that game? Because we'll be talking to you after it, Jack, but we won't have a chance to get your pregame thoughts on the Sens' first Battle of Ontario this season.
I think just kind of expecting the same effort as New York, Vegas for the most part, and then tonight, right? They show up for these big games on the road. I know last postcast I was talking about how they can't win on the road, but the sample size is also there for them kind of having good, solid games despite no results before tonight on the road in those big games. So looking for more of the same, looking for Timmy to hopefully heal his eye. I wanted to mention one more thing about Stützle's injury. On the plane, if you're swelling, I think it would blow up like a balloon. So that might be why he didn't skate yesterday. I don't know, like that, just a nasty injury. I was there. I was close to where it happened when I was watching on Thursday. It just sounded nasty. So hope he's okay. But yeah, that picture just made me think about that again. But looking good going into Toronto, except for Tim Stützle, who doesn't look good right now.
I mean, he looks pretty sweet to me, Jack. Maybe not. He's not winning any portrait trophies. I don't know what a portrait trophy is, but I honestly, it wouldn't have been that crazy if they just said, "Timmy, take the night off. Like your eye, you need a break." But Tinted Timmy is a whole different beast, and he came to play tonight. So shout out Timmy.
Buddy, he came to play and then some. Loved what I saw, the battle. And that's just infectious, too, when your best players fighting through things. I think that's something in the past that, you've seen Brady a little frustrated because he's in the battle every single night. And, man, Timmy is right there with him. This guy, may I remind everyone, is still 22 years old and won't be 23 until January 15th. So we're seeing the rise of a young superstar in the National Hockey League. And Jimmy Stu in there here in the chat calling him Cyclops Stützle. I like that one as well.
Yeah, or Cyborg. He looks either a Cyclops or a Cyborg. It's crazy. Hey, but this is what we wanted to see from Timmy, Ross? Like we talked about it. We want to see a little more toughness out of him. That's tough as nails.
Well, you got toughness out of Timmy tonight. You got toughness out of the whole team. The Senators were not to be pushed around tonight, and it's just nice to see that deserved effort goes into the win column, right? Because there's been a few this year, especially on the road, where you feel like they deserved a better result and they just haven't gotten it. So to get the result, even though you allow a divisional opponent to get 1 point, you still have to feel fantastic after this one.
Yeah, I'm not worried about giving the Bruins a point because we got 2 on this one, and we needed that point just as bad as we needed both points. So no, I'm not apologizing for it.
For more content from us, go check out a late drop on Friday. So I'm sure still many of you guys haven't seen our chat with Dean. You'll be able to do the verbal meme, Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV when you hear him talk about Michael Amadio being due to get better. Well, tonight, Michael Amadio gets his first goal with the Senators. Noah Gregor gets his first assist as a Senator. And Brady Tkachuk is now alone atop the franchise leaderboard in overtime goals. 3-2, the final score from TD Garden tonight. And we say adieu. We'll talk to you on Monday morning for another edition of LOSP. For tonight, we say GSG. Go Sens, go. Let's get some GSGs in the chat for my good friend Jack Richardson, my brother Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Postcast. And the Postcast is always brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. Check them out at 779 Bank Street. Let them know that Locked On Senator sent you. The GCP where the vibes are free, and make sure that you go to the GlebeCentralPub.com. Check off, yes, Locked On Sens sent you, and get your tickets for $17 for the Sens shuttle to and from the CTC. The next home game, not until Thursday, the 14th, but get your tickets early and be ready to rock and roll for a very important game, because I'm sick and tired of losing to teams you should beat, and that game at home will be against the Philadelphia Flyers. Love the Vibecast. Love the GSGs in the chat. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone. We'll talk to you on Monday on Locked On Senators. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.